Are we live?
Yes.
We're live now.
Yes.
Crazy. Hello, thanks for tuning in to On the Front Row,
Such
the
a
worst and most unorganised F1 podcast on the internet. My name is Archie.
My name is Harry, and like the past few weeks, we're still just us two. But Tom has sent us a little something all the way from Phuket in Thailand, so we'll play that as and when we feel is necessary, if
across
at
the
all.
world exclusive.
Mm.
Yeah, it's probably bullshit anyway. It's 5 minutes of pure waffle, so I haven't even listened to it all the way through.
I was about to say I haven't listened to it all the way through either.
I started playing it while I was having a shit and then got bored. So
yeah. If it gets heavily racist, we apologise.
Yeah, he'll probably throw out the accent, which we've advised him not to do, but I hope he doesn't pull it out. Anyway, it's nice of him to contribute for a change. And of course, he's chimed in on this race weekend, which is probably the most uneventful one we've had in a while. Yeah. Even the drivers were bored. They were all saying how bored it was. Piastri in the cool-down room saying it was about 8 seconds worth of highlights.
Yeah, well, when watching the highlights, he was like, oh, is that it?
Yeah, the fact that they were bored and they were going 200 miles per hour is, but it's okay. There was still some things to talk about, which I think we should get into. Obviously, Tom has paid up on his bet. If you remember the first or second one, predictions episode, Tom predicted that Max Verstappen wouldn't win a race all season. Second episode.
Third episode.
Third episode. See,
yes, it was
this is how unorganised we are.
Then testing, then predictions.
See, this is how unorganised we are. So, go back, listen to episode 3 for our predictions, because we will be referring back to them frequently. But yes, Tom placed a bet that Max Verstappen wouldn't win a race all season. He has since paid me and Harry £10 each, so a bit of a hit for him there. But yeah, what a win it was for Max Verstappen as well. Lap record in qualifying, completely dominated throughout the race, when realistically he probably shouldn't have.
No.
Also, that Red Bull livery, oh my goodness, it was gorgeous.
It was indeed.
It was difficult to tell the Red Bull to the V-carb.
And the V-carb to the Haas. I know the Haas was pink on it, but still, they were all white.
Yeah, it was a bit difficult to tell.
Did you also see at the end of the race, it wasn't like the white ball was a vinyl wrap over the top. They were stripping it off. So the actual Red Bull livery was underneath it the whole time. So that's extra weight on that as well.
Wow.
So it probably would have gone quicker.
Yeah, but I don't care. It looked fantastic.
Oh no, yeah, it had to be in white. That Honda livery last Honda, the last like races that when they're sponsored by Honda as well at Japan, and it's a win. Like,
yeah, it's couldn't be better, really, could it? And obviously,
it would have been better if Yuki got points, but
yeah, but we'll get onto that. Apparently, there was a reason for that, but he still did better than Lawson, so it's an improvement.
He did. Although he didn't do better than Hadjar.
No, Hadjar was on smoke.
Mm.
But yeah, completely dominant from Max. I think one of his best races he's had in a while. Especially he was having some upshifting difficulties at the start, and he still managed to maintain a strong lead. Pretty impressive.
I think that'll also probably go down as one of the greatest qualifying laps as well, like with like Hamilton's Singapore.
Unreal.
Just no one thought anything of it. Like they're like, yeah, cool. McLaren 1-2 front row. Oh, yeah, Norris has got the lap record. Cool. And then you just see Verstappen's name ping up to the top. I was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
Even the commentators were like, oh.
Yeah. Did you see Alonso in the post-quali interview? He was like, he was stunned. Like he said only Max Verstappen could do something like that. He is unbelievable.
Oh yeah.
And that was coming from Fernando Alonso.
No, it's ridiculous.
Unreal. So he completely dominated the race. Though McLaren didn't even really get close. I mean, Norris tried in the pit lane of all places, which, to be fair, what the hell was he thinking? And then to turn around and say Max pushed him off.
I know, yeah, he had like at least another half a car length on track.
The thing is,
Because when I saw it, I've been in Paris this weekend, so I wasn't able to watch the race. I was sleeping off a hangover.
I was the only one to actually watch the race live.
Yeah, but when I initially saw it, you don't really in the highlights you didn't really see the front on shot. You could just see, I think it was the onboard from Norris or Verstappen. And then when I had the team radio, like, oh, he pushed me off track, I was like, to be fair, he probably has. And then you see like the onboard, like the shot, like facing them, on the straight, and literally Verstappen doesn't even move. If anything, he moves over to the left to give him more room, and he just pings himself onto the grass. Like,
I mean, if he moved over any further left, he would have gotten himself a penalty, which I think that's what Norris is trying to get him to do. But
it's just ridiculous.
You think by now he would realise you can't bully Max Verstappen. Max Verstappen is the bully.
Yes,
like
exactly.
The thing is, if he didn't do that, he probably would have overtaken him. Because again, they had more. They were the faster car.
Oh, so I think realistically now as well, they're saying at McLaren they don't have team orders. They do.
Yeah,
you can tell, like Piastri, like most of the race was saying, like, I can go, like Norris needs to pick up the pace. I can go faster, and then Norris is going flat out, and he's like, well, I can go faster. I can catch Max.
Well,
and I think he would have done.
I've been saying this. Piastri should be the one leading this team. He is a wolf in sheep's clothing, whereas Lando is more of a sheep in wolf's clothing, if that makes sense. Yeah. I feel like we said it at the start of the year, again, in the predictions video, Piastri was going to be on smoke this year, and he is. He's yes, okay, Australia was a bit of a weird one, but he recovered and he still got points in the end, which was quite impressive. But I don't know. I think it's saying a lot already. The fact that Lando is only 1 point ahead of Max in the Drivers' Championship, and he is in a much faster car. Well, I say much faster. He's in the faster car at the minute. And it's clearly doable because Piastri would have probably caught Max.
Oh, easily.
But
yeah, no,
I don't know why they didn't let him through. It still would have been points for the team, but I think they want Lando.
Because I mean, at this point in time, it would have been what Piastri would have gained 10 points on Norris. In the third race of the season.
But Lando would have lost the lead to Max if that was the case. But we'll see as the season progresses.
Well, no, he would have lost. He would have lost 3 points to Max. Max would have come second with 18 points.
Well, that's if. That is if.
Obviously, yes, if Piastri. But I'd imagine what they would have done is if Piastri didn't catch him, if near the end of the race, they'd have just swapped it back.
Maybe.
And it wouldn't have changed anything. But if not, it would have been more points for McLaren. Like it's the third race of the season. You can't be picking drivers. You can't like choose who you want to win the world championship at the third race of the season. Let the racers race. Let the drivers drive. If you have someone not from your team who's getting close to the end of the season, that's when you're bringing the team orders. Not in the third rate, like fourth race of the season. It's a joke.
Well, yeah, they did it in Australia as well. They told them to back off.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
They're fucking this up because Piastri, he would be leading the championship now if he went for that.
Piastri's been faster. It was Australia. They told him to back off. It's his home race. He's not going to do that.
He did though. In fairness, he got angry and he made mistakes.
He wouldn't have liked it. And then yesterday was his birthday.
Yeah, he could have done that. I reckon he really could have done that.
Yeah,
because he had the pace and he has the better time management, which is what was needed around Suzuka.
Exactly. I just think he just needs to. Okay. Well, he just needs to. Yeah, he just needs to ignore him. He needs to do a Vettel against Mark Webber and just ignore it and just overtake Norris.
Well, that's the other thing I was going to mention is that Mark Webber's his manager. He knows what it's like to play second fiddle, and he knows he's not going to let Piastri make the same mistake.
Yeah. He shouldn't, because Piastri he's proven he's probably quicker than Norris right now.
He's certainly looking that way so far. But that also leads me on to, I think the biggest issue we've already said about McLaren previously is that they don't know how to manage both drivers.
Mm.
They're going to prioritize one and then disregard the other. But it also, their strategy as well, I thought was a bit weird. Like, they could have tried to do something there, because all they did, they pitted Norris when Verstappen came in, right?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of copying what Red Bull are doing, how about you come up with your own strategy? Instead of copying Max and trying to beat him that way, try something else. There was no reason for him to pit that early, other than the fact that they were trying to get the undercut on Max. But if they just carried on with what they were doing, they would have been fine. They tried to, was it them or was it Mercedes? I think they tried to bait. No, it was, yeah. They tried to bait Red Bull into a pit stop. That didn't work. And then a few laps later, they pitted him anyway, which was just. They need to come up with a better strategy throughout the race, because they can't just copy Red Bull and expect it to work, especially when Max was leading. Like, yes, they ended up having a faster pit stop, but then Lando bottled it on the exit. And
Yeah,
then
I thought it was a lawnmower.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
I don't think he still said anything on that. I don't think he's turned around and gone, "Oh, actually, yeah, that was kind of my mistake." I still think he's evident that Max pushed him off, which we all know he didn't.
No, he didn't. It was actually quite funny watching it back, and you can just see like Max doesn't even move over like an inch in towards Norris.
Well, he was suspiciously quiet in the cool down room, which
Yeah, yeah,
which sort of said
yeah.
everything.
I mean, to be fair, Verstappen had two little battles with drivers he doesn't really like in the pit lane. You had Russell in practice as well.
Yeah, I mean,
Tries to go around in the pit lane. Max had none of it, and then Russell overtook him in the first corner, but it's practice, so it doesn't really matter. But
yeah, but I mean, it's sort of. I don't even know why it wasn't even considered an unsafe release, because it was very, very close.
yeah, I thought that. I did think that. I guess because Max didn't have to brake. He didn't have to
Mm,
brake or take avoiding action. I think it
no,
was actually perfectly timed.
but it was very narrow.
Oh, it's
I mean,
close, yeah.
it was also on the radio. Max was like, "You might want to check when Lando turned his pit limiter off as well, because that was a bit quick." Like, the fact that he's that savvy to even notice something like that.
Yeah.
Admittedly, he didn't. Norris absolutely nailed when to turn the pit limiter off, and that's how he got up alongside him.
Mm.
But again, why would you even try that? It's not going to work.
Yeah, there's no
It
point.
would have
What
been
he should
better
do
off
is yeah. I mean,
follow him and get close to
but
him,
yeah,
and
the
then
only
try
problem
and
is
chicanes.
trying to follow them. You want to get the jump. If you get the jump, then have to brake, and then they ping off. You just shot yourself in the foot. Like,
But I mean, it's sort of, a lot of the drivers were saying it. I can't remember which one who said it. I think it was Sainz. He said it's a fast Monaco now, Suzuka.
mm,
There's not really many opportunities for overtaking, and that sort of shows, because the only people to change positions from starting was Hadjar and Hamilton. Everyone else stayed the same.
mm.
So it's sort in the top 10 anyway. Yeah. So it's like it wasn't a very eventful race, which was a shame, because I really like Suzuka. I think it's a great track. But
Yeah,
hey ho.
definitely.
Um, that leads to the other thing I mentioned earlier, is that Max Verstappen is only 1 point behind Lando Norris in this championship.
Yeah.
I was willing to bet that Red Bull wasn't going to be all there, that he was going to struggle. There is a strong possibility Max can get his fifth this year. That is looking more and more likely, especially if Norris doesn't fucking lock in and start putting more pressure on. Or the only other way they're going to win a drivers' championship is, honestly, with Piastri. I think, anyway. But it's early. It's 3 races in. I mean, we're at the start of a triple header. It's Bahrain next week, so I'm hoping that'll be eventful.
Yeah, it's going to be a tight championship. It's honestly, yeah, it's going to be between Verstappen, Piastri, and Norris.
Mm.
I think there's already. So I am just looking at the standings at the moment. Yeah, I mean Russell's in there as well. He's only 4 points behind Piastri, but
The gap is forming.
there's
That's
already
the
a
issue.
12-point difference between Verstappen and Piastri.
Yeah.
And then
Like,
you've got Piastri and Russell. Russell on 45, Piastri on 49, and then you got Antonelli on 30. So fucking
yeah.
Albon's ahead of Hamilton.
That's Albon's. I'm glad you mentioned Albon because I'd like to get started with Albon and Hamilton because they had a few interesting radio messages throughout the race. Uh, Also, Albon is on fire this year.
Yeah, no, he is.
I mean, we were worried last year about how he was going to compete compared to Sainz. So far, he's
blowing him out
mincing
water.
him.
Yeah.
So far, he's absolutely
I mean,
mincing him. I'm still giving Sainz a bit of time. It's a new car. It's a new
yeah,
engine
Sainz
for
has
him.
got 1 point so far, and Albon has 18.
Yeah, it's so far it's looking good, and it's sort of making me think Albon, if he was in a better car, would be an absolute force of nature.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, he was having a few spicy radio messages throughout the race. He's getting a bit pissy with his engineer, which I think was pretty valid because they kind of like messed up his entire strategy. They were, yeah, they were gonna. He wanted to try and undercut Behrman, and then they ended up going for the overcut. And then he was sort of like, "Well, why did you do that?" I was like, "Oh, trust me, you would have been better. This is better off." It's like, "Well, we're still behind him, so it isn't, is it?"
Mm.
So it's, which I kind of get him, but he was getting very angry on the radio. It sounded a lot like I don't know if you listened to Dan Tittum's radio in Formula E. It sounded very reminiscent of that. Maybe not quite as bad, but
Little angry man.
yeah, Dan Tittum's an arsehole, so I'm not going to put Albon in the same category as
What
that.
did he do again?
He's just hisses and moans, and nothing's ever his fault when it usually
did,
is.
He did something that got him like he was.
Oh yes, he made a song about Latifi, about how shit he was.
Did he?
And
That's quite funny. That.
yeah, he made like something. Latifi is a poo, and then like that basically cost him his seat at Williams Driver Academy. Which is he showed promise, but you know, anyway.
But you can't call their current F1 driver a poo. Can you?
No.
Get away with it.
Well, yeah. I mean, I'd say he's having a successful career in Formula E, but he's not. So,
No.
but he's just an angry little posh twat. I think that's the reputation he's known for.
You heard it here first.
Heard it here first. Well, not heard it here first. You've heard it in many other places, I'm sure. But
yeah.
The other one that was getting a bit spicy in the radio was Hamilton. He is not a fan of his race engineer.
No, he cannot get used to him at all.
He was basically asking, "Oh, what corners am I losing time on?" He was like, "Yeah." Like, yeah, which corners? Yeah. Fucking give him an answer.
Yeah.
He's not going to improve if you don't tell him where he's missing. He's just like, well, what can I do to improve it then? I was like, I don't know. You're the driver.
Which corners are losing time on? It's probably the corners.
Yeah, like, he's ridiculous. Like, it's making Hamilton, who is a 7-time world champion, look like a pretty shit driver. And to be honest, it's not going well for him at Ferrari.
No.
I mean, Ferrari this year as well. That is they are remarkably underperforming.
Oh, 100%.
Like, yes, I know they got disqualified, last week, which is typical Ferrari fashion.
But they got disqualified. But I mean, their position wasn't even that good anyway.
No, I reckon they are easily the 4th fastest car. If it wasn't for Albon in that Williams, like, he's the only. I'd say that's the closest competitor is the Williams to Ferrari, which is alarming.
Mm. Yeah, no,
I mean, Albon's ahead of both of them in the standings at the minute. I think Ferrari are ahead in the constructors still, but that's just because Sainz hasn't turned up yet.
I think Leclerc is ahead of.
Okay, well, I know he's ahead of Hamilton, so he's split the Ferraris up.
He's split the Ferraris. He's 2 points behind Leclerc.
See, that's look at last year. Like, come on.
Yeah.
You turn around and say, yeah, Alex Albon and Williams is only 2 points behind Leclerc and a Ferrari.
And ahead of the other one.
Yeah, I think diehard Ferrari fans are on suicide watch at the minute.
Yeah.
They're not looking well.
There is one other driver I think we should probably talk about who's had a bit of a turnaround this season.
Are you going to mention Isaac Hadjar?
No, I'm going to mention a Canadian man by the name of Lance Strolovich.
Don't you dare! Don't you dare speak his name, because I put him on my fantasy league for this weekend, and he did shit. He's been doing really, really well. He did fantastic the other two races.
Yeah.
And then this race, he just went, I don't really feel like it. I've heard Archie's put me on his fantasy league, so I'm just going to fucking perform shit. He's clearly listening to the podcast because he knows how much shit we've talked about him previously. Yeah. So
I mean, it was what? It was sixth in Australia.
Yeah. Cracking result.
Yeah, exactly. And then ninth in China.
Did he get points in the sprint? I can't remember.
No, I think he was battling to the end with it. Yeah.
Well, he's not made any stupid mistakes and he's not wrecked the car yet, so I suppose it's an improvement from last year.
He was the only one lapped in this race.
Okay, right, well.
Which is a bit shocking when you've got a Sauber who finished the... That shows you how boring this race was. Only one car was lapped, and there was like... What? That usually there's like at least like 5 or 6 cars lapped. There was one.
Well, speaking of Canadians, singer-songwriter and World Drivers' Championship in Formula One, Jacques Villeneuve.
Oh yeah.
Was commentating this weekend. If you don't know what I mean by he's a singer-songwriter, look up Jacques Villeneuve album. He did an album in the early 2000s after he put Formula One behind him. It's not great. It's not a great album, but it's quite funny to listen to. So it did get removed off Spotify though, so you're gonna have to go on YouTube and look for it.
Why did it get removed off Spotify?
I don't know. I think he was embarrassed, which I would be as well. But yeah, he was on the commentator this weekend. I've got to say, I prefer Martin Brundle. It was a bit.
I can imagine.
It's a bit weird. He was basically disagreeing with Crofty at everything he said.
I wish I had heard this.
Oh, it was brilliant. It was quite funny. But I suppose they had to provide some sort of entertainment considering how dull the race was.
Mm.
But again, his voice, waking up at 6 a.m. and listening to his commentary, along with a very boring race, was very nearly enough to put me to sleep. But I powered through it. So that's 2 Canadians this weekend that have pissed me off. But I think the greatest thing, the person that we were the one to watch this weekend was Yuki Tsunoda. First race at Red Bull, his home race. Quali didn't go great.
No,
he qualified 15th, but then Sainz got a 3 place for impeding Hamilton, and so he ended up starting 14th.
But he also got out qualified by Lawson.
Yeah, a bit embarrassing.
Yeah, that wasn't a great start. I did watch quali. He did overtake him, but still, it's not the most settling of things when the person you've just taken their seat at the better team,
but
and still get out qualified by them. Just shows that car is.
He showed promise in the race.
He did.
And apparently they had a bit of difficulty with his setup as well. They struggled to find a good setup for him, which apparently led to his not poor race performance, because I think he did fine. He certainly did better than Lawson when he was in the Red Bull.
100%. Yeah, leaps and bounds better, massively.
And there's definitely potential there.
Yeah, there'll be points in this triple header for him easily.
Yeah, and it was Franz Todd who said as well. Franz Toss. Obviously, the previous AlphaTauri team principal, and basically nursed Yuki Tsunoda's early career.
Hmm.
He basically turned around and went, Lawson will never ever meet the potential of Yuki Tsunoda.
Hmm.
That man has got so much faith in Yuki Tsunoda. It's incredible, and
I
it's
think
nice to hear that from someone as legendary to the sport as he is.
Yeah, I think it is honestly justified because Tsunoda, I think he's been quite an underrated driver since he's been in F1.
Every single year, he has improved and improved and improved, and
And
this year is no
but
exception.
he's just not talked about because he's in that midfield pack. No one talks about the midfield. They're either talking about who's winning the championship or who's doing really shit, and he's always in the middle, which is
Yeah.
why now I feel like he's getting that attention that he deserves and is needed because it's nice to see like a driver who's actually worked really hard, been in the sport in a midfield team or back of the pack team for a few years to finally get that actual rise up into that top seat because you don't see that very often anymore. You usually
Yeah, it's
see the academy driver going to a top team or someone who's in a top team move to another top team. It's never, yeah, you don't really see that. Like, there are people who've actually grinded for their seat to actually move up into it. Yes, I know, okay, he's Red Bull Academy, so he's got that obvious link, but still.
well, I think we can both agree it's deserved,
Yeah, massively.
and I also hope that they do keep him for next year as well.
Yeah,
Like,
well,
yes,
it'll all be
I know they
dependent on
haven't
this
got a
season.
Honda engine. I know they haven't got a Honda engine, but it's also the start of new regs. The car's going to be
Yeah,
basically a blank slate.
yeah. It'll
So they're
depend
gonna,
on how he does this season.
and I think once it's a blank slate, he will be able to shine a bit more. Because again, that machine at the minute is built for Max Verstappen. That
Yeah,
much is clear now. Again, I think we're a bit too harsh on Perez, but so far, Tsunoda or Lawson, in fairness, hasn't really crashed into anyone. They've not
mm.
bullied and barged people off the track and broken front wings and crashed and stuff, which it got to the point where Perez was
Well, I mean,
doing that.
Lawson did, but
But,
Lawson has crashed this season, hasn't he?
yeah, but I don't think it was in a race. It was in no, he nearly crashed in Australia. I don't think he's actually
No,
fully. I don't think he's fully binned it yet.
where he did.
I mean, maybe he has, but it doesn't matter. He's not in the Red Bull anymore. It's Yuki we're talking about.
Exactly. I think we should go off Red Bull because we had a whole episode.
Yeah,
Last
but they're the
week,
ones to talk about them. Mate. They've got the most
Yeah,
going on.
Lawson DNF'd in Australia, so he did crash.
Okay, fair. Yes, I just don't remember that now. So yeah,
Yeah, I want to talk about actually Lawson's teammate Hajar. Did you hear his issues he was having in qualifying?
no, I didn't.
So obviously he had an incredible qualifying session, qualified 7th, sorry, unreal. Because he was saying the car wasn't drivable. Apparently, he had his bollocks caught in his seatbelt.
Oh yeah, I heard about this.
Or his bollocks were squashed by the seatbelt, and that was causing him a bit of discomfort.
Yeah, his balls are in a vice.
Yeah, but he's still qualified 7th. Fair play to that man. Fair play to him.
Tell you what, clamp his balls up more often if he's going to perform like that.
Yeah.
Christ, though, keep it tight.
Yeah. He's literally he's the definition of a racing bull now.
Yeah. Honestly, he's had a cracking turnaround.
He has.
I didn't think he was. I didn't think he was going to be right for F1. I think I severely underestimated him.
I think we've underestimated a couple of the rookies this season. I think Hajar and Antonelli.
Oh God, I'm going to get onto Antonelli.
Yeah,
because he made me so happy this weekend.
Yeah, we both majorly underestimated them. Doohan, he needs to leave.
No, he doesn't need to. I wouldn't say he needs to leave because he
needs to turn his shit around.
You weren't listening to the commentary. Jack Villeneuve was sort of saying. Jack Villeneuve was going, look, he's close to his teammate. Yes, okay, he's one position, or he's 2 positions behind him. There's someone in between him. I think it was Sainz. but he was on about how Sainz isn't even close to Albon. But Doohan is close to Gasly. Neither of them are finishing in the points. Gasly's getting there. He's close. He was 11th. He will get points this year.
He's costing them a lot of money, though.
Yeah. I mean,
that was a $1.8 million crash.
Okay, yes. But come on. He's a rookie. They're going to crash.
Yeah, but not when you don't leave your DRS open like that, man.
Yeah, but no.
It's like there's rookie errors.
Okay,
There's rookie errors, and then there's like you forget to close your DRS.
He didn't forget to close the DRS. He said on the simulator you could take turn 1 with more DRS open in the simulator. So he tried that, but when he applied the brakes a bit too gently, and then ended up having a 50G crash. Fair play to the lad. He gave it a go. He went fucking send it, which is ballsy as fuck. But I think he kind of forgot. I think his dad took over a little bit. That was genetics, and he kind of forgot that he's not on a 2-wheeler and can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
He can't take a corner at 45-degree angle.
Yeah.
But yeah,
it's just ridiculous.
He's not a great start. I had high hopes for him. I didn't want to put too much pressure on him, but I think at the end of this triple header might determine whether or not he's got the seat for the rest of the year.
Yeah, so I know I appreciate he's not far off Gasly, which is good because Gasly we know he's a good driver, but it's these more costly mistakes that realistically, if you had say Colapinto in the car, would those silly mistakes happen?
They would. The silly mistakes would happen. I think he'd end up. Franco Colapinto would be quicker and he'd make more overtakes and stuff like that. He's got better racecraft, better pace, but he's also proven that he makes a lot of fuck ups.
Mm.
Again, so far, Doohan's not great, looking fantastic so far, but if Gasly was scoring points consistently,
yeah, that's true. It is
and
true.
Doohan wasn't, I'd be a bit more like, yeah, fair enough. But neither of them are scoring points, so you can't really tell. But again, we're 3 races into the season. We can't judge him too yet.
Yeah, Red Bull probably can though.
Red Bull can, yes. We already mentioned him, Antonelli.
Mm-hmm.
He should have got driver of the day, I think. Not because he gained more positions or anything like that. Purely because of his just cheerful attitude. It's so refreshing. He's so...
You forget he's only a teenager. He's only 18 years old, isn't he? Like,
I know, but it's so nice to hear. Like, on the radio, it's like, oh, he's like, I'm giving it a go. I'm just having a good time, guys. Don't worry about it. And he's setting fun. He's like, Bono was like, mate, you're the fastest man on track. He's like, yay! And he's so fucking happy about it.
Wait, it's like when he was like, in the paddock after the race, and they said like the 2 records he'd broken, and he's like, "Oh no way, really? Oh, that's so cool!" All this like he's just like,
he's so cheery,
such a really happy bloke. Yeah, youngest ever fastest lap setter and youngest ever to lead a Formula 1 race.
Yeah, I mean, he won't be the youngest to win a race. That will still go to Max Verstappen.
Could be the youngest to get a podium though. If things go his way, I don't think he would get one on merit.
Do you know what a race win is, Harry? That's also a podium.
Yeah, but he could still get youngest to be on a podium, but not the race win one. Couldn't he?
No, because Max Verstappen would be the youngest on the podium as well. You dick. Yeah. Literally, there's 3 days between them. So if he won this weekend, he would be the youngest race winner.
Oh, I thought it was older. I thought Max was older than that.
No, because when Max was leading, was it? Yeah, leading a race is when he won. Why have you gone quiet?
Oh yeah, Verstappen's 4 days older when he won the race. Yeah, so he can't. Yeah, okay, fair. I thought Verstappen was like a good few months older when he did it.
Nope, it's literally 4 days.
Fair. So yeah, anyway,
But yeah, I think Antonelli should have got driver of the day, just for his cheerful attitude, and obviously the fact he was setting fastest lap after fastest lap. Somehow he got track time deleted. I don't know what he did for that.
He's just having a great time, isn't he?
Just having a
He's
giggle,
another
mate.
love.
He's giving it a go.
Another
So
love.
yeah, I'm very happy. He deserves that Mercedes seat, hands down. He's fantastic.
Yeah, he's proven. I think there's a lot of people going, "Oh, rookie in a Mercedes seat." Like,
Me included. I was one of
yeah,
them.
it's like you don't see it very often. You don't see a top team taking that rookie on very often. And I think we're all a bit apprehensive, but he's well and truly proved us wrong, and I'm glad he has.
I mean, it would have been nice for Toto Wolff to be there to give him that sort of fatherly love. But obviously he wasn't at Suzuka. I think it's because it overlaps with his kid's birthday or something like that. So he hasn't really he hasn't showed up for a few, which is fine. Fair enough. Family man, I get that.
No.
But Bono was giving him all the support he needed.
F1 is more important.
Well, yeah, I suppose so. Yeah. Other than that, it's pretty an eventful race. I mean, I feel like we've spoken about quite a lot.
I mean, should we have a little listen to Tom's input?
Yeah, I think now would be we can contradict him if need be.
Yeah, I was going to say, and pick him apart whilst he's not here.
Yeah, I think what we'll do is we'll play the audio fully for you, and then we'll sort of slate him afterwards.
Yes, yeah, it sounds like a good plan. All right, here's Tom.
Hello. I thought I'd chime in. Obviously, I can't be on the podcast today, which is fantastic. But I thought I may as well make an effort after such an amazing, Grand Prix. I'm hoping they put this in the actual episode. If not, this has been a massive waste of time. I'll keep it brief so those two can go in depth, but it was a pretty boring race. To be honest, I didn't miss much. By the looks of it, I only managed to catch the highlights, but they managed really to stretch 8 minutes. How they managed to make that highlight video 8 minutes is beyond me, because not a lot happened. I think the only interesting thing really was the pit lane incident between Max and Lando, and really, it's tough to see. I can't really see why Lando was saying he's been forced off. They showed every angle possible, and it's clear that he was driving alongside the entire time. He ran out of road and he put himself onto the grass. Max didn't move. Max stayed in the middle. That's the end of that, really. I think Lando has proven now that he's not the right person to be in a championship fight. He's not capable enough. I think he's still very error prone. He makes a lot of mistakes when under pressure. Hopefully McLaren realise that, and hopefully they push Piastri more and focus more on him, because I do believe he's the one person who could rival Max for the championship. It's proven, really. I know we're only 3 races in, but Red Bull don't have they don't have as good a car as the likes of Mercedes and McLaren. McLaren should now be pushing this as, well, we can win the Constructors and we definitely can win the Drivers' Championship. They just need to prioritise the right driver, which they currently aren't doing. And then there's Yuki, first race. He's proven that second seat is ridiculously difficult to manage at Red Bull. We know how good of a driver Yuki is. We know how quick he can be. Yet he qualified 15th and finished 12th. It's an odd one, that second seat, because I don't know what they could possibly have done to the car to make it unbelievably difficult. But I'm hoping in time Yuki gets grips with it and performs well. I want to see him do well. You know, he was one of the drivers I think we all had on our ones to watch this season. And yeah, I want him to do well. And then, to be honest, the only other talking point from my end, from what I saw, was Kimi is the youngest driver now to set a fastest lap in a race. I know he didn't finish with the fastest lap, but I think if I read it correctly, he's taken over Max's previous record for fastest lap. The guys might have to, correct me on that, which I'm sure they will. And if you remember from 3 or 4 episodes ago now, we had a little bet on Max Verstappen winning a race this season. Clearly, I didn't have enough faith in Max, or I had too much faith in Lando Norris and every other driver, but he won. He won, not comfortable. He drove well. He won. I lost my bet. Those two guys have got their money, and you know what? I don't think I'll hear the end of this. But that is all for me. I'm going to let those two crack on and talk about whatever other pointless shit they want to. See you all next week.
Wow. There you go. That was Tom's input.
Yep. Bit rude, pointless shit that we're talking about.
Yeah,
None of it's pointless.
It's all absolutely the truth, and you should listen to this as though it was news.
Yeah, I mean, he's right about one thing though. We are not going to let me hear the end of this. I'm willing to put more bets on Max Verstappen winning this year. I'm quite comfortable with that. Especially Red Bull have turned around and said by Spain, when the flexi wing bollocks is enforced, they'll see a massive drop off in McLaren's performance. So I reckon we might see a few more Max Verstappen wins. Other than that, very insightful from Tom there. Really in-depth, detailed, and really, really contributed to this podcast of him going, I didn't really watch it. The highlights were shit. Lando Norris's ass. Yeah. That's roughly.
He's basically just mentioned everything we have again.
Just not as detailed, not as good, not as interesting, not as many things to talk about.
Sounded a bit tired and ill, which he probably was when he
hungover.
That.
Probably hungover is probably the best bet.
Yeah.
If he sent that in so that would have been at 10 in the morning our time. Okay, afternoon. So he would have been plastered.
So it would have been about 6 o'clock his time, 6 p.m.
Yes, he would have been quite drunk by that point. So, yeah, very insightful. And again, sort of proving that the real core strength of this podcast is myself and Harry.
Exactly. We are the backbone of On the Front Row. We're on the front row. He's on the second row.
Boom. Love that.
There we go.
Okay. Well, I think that's we've covered pretty much everything. A bit of a short one, I know, but
yes.
Again, not much to talk about this race.
Exactly. Hopefully Bahrain will be a bit more eventful. We actually have something more to talk about, and Tom will be back for that one.
Yeah.
Will he?
I think yes, yeah, he's back for that one. We can all get around the flat and watch it together if you feel.
Yeah. When is he back? Is it
Friday?
Oh, it comes back Friday. Okay, cool.
So we'll be good. We'll be good for that.
Lovely stuff. Yeah, we'll be back as a proper 3-man of Tom actually conversing with us and shutting down my opinions and licking your ass. Yeah.
What, licking my ass? Behave.
Oh, you two always agree with each other. When I say something, you think it's ridiculous.
Yeah,
I
because
see
you
how it
said
is.
that Lewis Hamilton was going to get his 8th this year.
Yeah, that's not happening now.
It's really not, is it, mate? You're wrong
No.
about that as well. Anyway, thank you for listening. Thank you for tuning in. Thanks for going back and listening to the other podcast. Thanks for leaving a like on the video. We're going to look at trying to upload to Spotify soon. Once the logos are done.
Yeah, I know.
And then maybe we might look a bit more professional.
Exactly. We might actually start up some more social media accounts.
Exactly. Once we get everything up and running, we'll have a Twitter eventually. That's going to be the best way for you to reach us. Please leave any heinous opinions and your honest reviews of the podcast. Eventually, I think I'd like to start a segment where we read out comments as well from listeners or viewers. And yeah, exciting things coming forward. It's going to be a good year, I think.
It shall do. I think this year is going to be a good year to get this off the ground and running, and then next year, with all the new regulations, with everything, is going to be a fun one as well.
Yeah, it's going to be good. It's going to be real good.
Oh yes, I'm excited for this season. It's already proven we've had our first boring race, but I think this season has got a lot to prove. I think there's going to be a lot of people that are going to improve and get in that title fight, and I think it's going to be a proper fight to the end.
Yes, title fight is on.
Oh yeah, massively.
Thanks for listening. I've been Archie.
And I've been Harry, and that was Tom briefly.
Yep.
So we'll see you next week for the Bahrain.
Yeah, looking forward to Bahrain.
Definitely. See you next week.
Bye.